everyone, welcome to Hub and Spoke, a storytelling platform produced by the J. Hurt Hub for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Davidson College. Through these conversations, we hope to inspire and connect the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs leading lives of leadership and service. Well, we're so glad to be here at Supperland today, hosting another episode of Hub and Spoke, which is a production of the J. Hurt Hub for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Davidson College, where we say we like to facilitate access and exposure to innovation and entrepreneurship for all. So these stories are really our opportunity to interview Davidson alumni who are entrepreneurs, innovators, leaders in our ecosystem to really inspire that next generation of innovation. So we're very excited to be joined with Jeff and Jamie today. And so I'd love if y'all just introduce yourselves and then we'll jump into some questions.
Okay.
Lovely. I am Jeff Tonidandel in class of 1998.
And I'm Jamie Brown in class of 1999. This guy's wife here.
All right. Well, again, as I mentioned, storytelling is so important to what we're doing to try to inspire everybody. So if y'all wouldn't mind starting at your Davidson, leaving Davidson.
That goes way back for us,
It's all good. The condensed version is totally fine. But start from there, and really if you could highlight what were some of the core decisions and other things that you made along the way to ultimately get you to this path to owning a restaurant.
Okay. Well, I tried not to leave Davidson. I stayed on as an assistant coach to the women's tennis team for 2 years after I left.
Okay.
And got a lot of support from the school and the head coach at the time, Caroline Price, to kind of give me a little bit of time to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I don't think I was quite ready after Davidson to kind of have a great direction. And,
but you know what I saw in him was a lot of potential.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, but no, I think the just wonderful support there that I think the whole athletic department and especially the tennis coaches cared more about me, and like developing and that kind of stuff, and really, trying to find what to do next. And, so I was there for 2 years, and then I went to business school and got my MBA, and that's kind of how my working career started and business career.
And I paralleled that a little bit. I took a job here in Charlotte, but ended up going off to grad school as well. And I think that's a path a lot of Davidson students end up taking.
Yeah.
But I think for both of us, taking a little break and figuring out, okay, I think I might want to go this direction, and you kind of dip your toe in a little bit, and then see that, hey, maybe that's not where I wanted to go. And then you kind of go in a different direction. For both of us, I think having an MBA has been invaluable. I know as a woman, it is it's valuable for anybody, but for a woman, it's especially valuable because there are just so many fewer of them. I went to the University of Arizona out in Tucson, and in my class, of about 90 students, there were about 15 women, and it was great coming out because then you're set apart, and I think that was really helpful to really jumpstart our careers. But
yeah, I think I felt like going to Davidson liberal arts education that wow, like you have all the skills to tackle any academic endeavor. You learn how to work really hard. You learn how to write. You learn how to read. You really have this amazing kind of tool set. But I think getting the MBA for me actually kind of like released all of that and gave me a lot of skills that I could bring to the business world and explain to the business world that, like, hey, I have these skills, I can do these things, and just adding that extra 2 years of grad school and case studies and working over the summers and stuff just kind of let me tell the story more, and it was just amazing how much easier business school was with all of those kind of tools that we have and everything that Davidson puts you through was great.
Well, and I want to dig in there because I also did my MBA at University of Michigan.
Okay.
And so coming out an English major from Davidson.
What?
I always say my supplemental business education at Davidson was booking concerts for Union Board. And so doing that all 4 years, But to your point about going to business school, I think maybe ours was 25% women. And so that differentiation. But the other thing was so interesting, I felt like, because there are so many people that had more engineering backgrounds or more economic, traditional backgrounds where that was another opportunity from a liberal arts perspective to differentiate yourself.
Right.
Yeah, the business school is all about participating and and bringing a different perspective in. Yeah, I think that as a liberal arts education, it is a lot different.
Yeah.
And it definitely set us up on a career track. Now, we're not necessarily following where we began, but both of us ended up getting fairly corporate jobs at that time. So I worked at the time it was Lance Inc. on South Boulevard here in Charlotte, so the snack food company. And I was there, and Jeff was working at a NASCAR team.
It was sponsorship.
Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates at the time. And so he was traveling a lot, and I was traveling some and working a lot, and we did that for about 5 years. And then we did something real crazy.
Well, tell us about that decision point. Why did you decide this isn't going in the direction we want?
She kind of
my
started
idea. I'm
this,
not usually the crazy one. It's usually the crazy one.
We had just gotten married, and we were. We didn't have kids yet, and we were a little bit free, but we also weren't really happy with our jobs. So what did you have us do?
We really liked our jobs, and our jobs were really great, and we had more opportunity, but there was something saying
missing, and something we wanted to do
you're supposed to do something else. And we left hoping that we would find that answer. So we literally gave our notices, put all of our stuff in storage, and we left for an unknown time. So we ended up being gone for 8-9 months, and just with backpacks and a roller bag. And we traveled all around Europe. We went over to Asia as well, specifically Korea and Japan. And then, we made it all the way around the world and came back. So, such a couple of sentences to explain, a very momentous time.
Just a big life change too. Yes, of like, gosh, we want to do more. We feel like we need to do more, but what are we going to do? We didn't really know. And just kind of taking.
And we were supposed to find that answer on our trip.
Sure. And we didn't until we.
But we kind of did.
That,
the funny thing is that when we were on that trip, it was specifically in this little town called Tarifa, Spain. It's the southernmost tip of Spain.
I studied abroad in Spain.
Okay, you did. Well, you know that then. We were there for about 6 weeks in that town, and we started just talking and dreaming and spitfiring ideas back and forth about wanting to open a restaurant someday. Wouldn't it be fun if? And I thought it was a good idea. He thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea until we came back and the reality of it. But at the time we were just dreaming and writing down ideas and just having fun with it. And that was really the genesis of
But did a lot of getting to the point of opening a restaurant was getting back and doing a lot of introspection and trying to fill out like what are our life goals, like where do we see ourselves in 10 years and 15 years and 5 years, like where do we feel like health wise, where do we feel lifestyle wise, family wise, like just kind of looking at all these things and then kind of like what are we good at, what do we care about. I think it is
one thing I kind of want to dig in, if I could interrupt you for a moment, something that sparked that was really interesting that you said was, one, you have this sort of global perspective because you're nomadic a little bit, but picking up, along the way you're filling your suitcase with not just clothing, but other types of experiences, right? So you have this sort of visionary dreaming mode, and then I think Jamie, it was you, the reality sets in, and I feel like this is a really interesting definition of entrepreneurship, right? You have this vision, but then you're like, oh boy, we have to go execute on it. So maybe you could speak to
I can feel myself start to get teary because I remember the feelings so well. It was so dreamy and just flat out fun to talk about it when we were overseas. And it's because there's no risk. And you don't have to worry about it. And then when you come back here and you're both, we came back to a recession. This was 2008 when we returned and into 2009. And it was at the end of 2008 that we went to dinner and we were getting pizza and just a normal dinner. He said, I've decided I know what I want to do. And this was just a month after we had moved back, and I thought, well, this is great. He's going to go work for the city. He wanted to do city planning, development. And we needed jobs quickly because we had just come back. So I went out and got a retail job. And he was teaching tennis on the side. He was like, I want to open a restaurant. And I was like, that's cute, but we don't know what we're doing. that was the moment of like, I remember not being able to muster up a no to him.
Sure.
I couldn't say no because I knew he was so passionate about it. But I didn't want to say yes either because I also knew what that meant for us, for me.
Right.
I would need to go out and become our primary breadwinner. I would need to figure stuff out because, we had to make ends meet.
Right.
So,
pay rent and whatever else you
Yeah.
have on. I'm curious, kind of building off of that too, thinking a little bit about being athletes, and in particular athletes at Davidson, but just athletes your whole life. I also played tennis competitively growing up, and kind of dabbled in other things. Not good at basketball, but
That's okay.
Lots of sports. But think about how your time playing sports at Davidson or just in your life as athletes has really translated into how you manage your business and how you think about team and getting people aligned in the same vision and goal.
I think that the whole kind of sports world at Davidson is awesome because you're in these small groups, and it really gives you a chance to kind of learn from the leaders on your team when you're a freshman and become that when you're a senior.
Yeah.
And I thought that our coaches gave us a lot of autonomy to really drive the program to where we want to drive it to, and make sacrifices and do it as a team, and really let the captains kind of be leaders. And so I thought that was like a big developmental thing for me to go from freshman to kind of captain of the team and kind of go through all that. And I also those are my friends, and those are like the relationships. And I always thought that building those bonds and having those relationships and working hard together was really what was fun, in a big part of Davidson.
I would second everything you said, and I think a lot of it too is the idea of team. Now here on our team we've got 150 people.
Wow.
And everybody has a different role. And each role is integral to making the whole thing work. You can say, one feels less important than the other, but the ship will go down if somebody's not doing their part. And, it's just really important, I think, from both of our perspective to acknowledge each piece of that. And each one it's not just a role, it's a person.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of it too, is seeing the whole thing as all of these people working together. And, we've had a lot of people who've been with us for, up to a dozen years. So I think we feel very lucky, and we see the value of having those team members and what they contribute on a daily basis to the overall group.
And I know you've spoken about this publicly before, but maybe you could speak a little bit about things that you changed with respect to wages or conditions, especially during COVID and the pandemic and everything that's been going on. How did you take that empathy that you were just speaking about to the team and make ethical decisions?
So we decided before the pandemic, we were kind of growing and becoming a bigger company that taking care of everybody was a big part of what we wanted to do. So we went to giving everybody benefits for the company, and then also adding in a living wage component. And it's just before the pandemic, it just seemed like we were had a great year, and it just seemed like the right
everything
thing
was
to do.
great in 2019.
Everybody was really contributing, and we really wanted to kind of keep everybody together and give people more opportunities. So that's why we're opening this place. And then as wages have gone up and the living wages has jumped up significantly, it hasn't been the most fun thing to do during the pandemic, but I also think that it has really helped us get through it. We've kept a lot of people. We have a lot of really loyal people. I think our group understands that what we're trying to build, and that was a big part of the story. And so I think it really has helped keep us together for it's costly, but I think it's a small price to have everybody still together.
What were some of the more challenging decisions you had to make during this time? And even, you've been expanding as well, so but I'd love to just kind of get into that mindset, and then to the extent to which you want to, share more details. But I think that's difficult for some people to, especially when they're thinking about entrepreneurship, they see all of your successes, but not necessarily the challenges that were along the way and some of those pivotal decisions that you made.
I think that the biggest decision was the simply not saying no to him wanting to open a restaurant.
Right.
That part of like, okay, allowing him, and this goes to if you're with a partner or even with yourself, talking to yourself, like allow yourself to say yes and see what happens. And is it scary? Yes. Mm-hmm. Might you fail? Yes. When we first opened up Crepe Cellar, it was, our first week, I remember he and the other business partner we were working with at the time, they were like, this was the hardest money we have ever earned. That was week one. And it was just very difficult. Everything was very hard. And
that's
I think
how the business is. It's a good foil.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that initial, the saying yes in beginning, but so much of entrepreneurship, and we've talked a little bit about innovation and entrepreneurship, and the idea, innovation is like this idea that you have, right? That's that spark. That's that moment where you're like, I want to do something. I want to do something different. I want to open up a crepe restaurant in Charlotte. Right. But then the entrepreneurship, I think, is really where everything has to come together. You have this great idea, but do you have the ability to take that risk? Do you want to take that risk? Are you willing to look like a fool?
Right, sure.
You really might fail. And I think it's all kind of coming about now, too, as, we're looking at Crepe Cellar. We're rebranding Crepe Cellar. Right now, it'll close in just 5 days.
Yes.
And, it's been open for 13 years, and it's been a special place to us. Our head chef has been there since day one. And this is a difficult decision, going back and seeing, what we need to do differently to make this place go forward. And again, you can look like a fool.
Right.
You do these pivotal things, But
I think the biggest thing for me, like during the pandemic, has been it is just constant new things every single day, and we have gotten really, really good at what we do now. It is crazy. There's a lot of things that you do, like when you're building a restaurant, that you do a floor plan and then you don't do it again.
Right. Sure.
Right. And now we were doing new floor plans every week. They change the rules: 6 feet, 3 feet, this many. You can have this many
be a
people,
lot
whatever.
more flexible.
And then you come up with your hours, and then you post your hours, and then so here we are, like. We change our hours every day. We change them on Google. We change them on we're really good at the website gets done. Everybody just kind of like attacks all these things. And we learned that by practicing these things over and over, we actually were very good when we came to open this place. We're like, hey, we need a seating chart, and everyone's like, oh, it's like we'll knock that out in 10 seconds. So that was one. Was just like skill wise, which just like forced us to we just need to get better.
Right.
And we did. But then I think there's just so many things that would come to us, and they take a lot of brain power and a lot of thought and looking at them differently, but just kind of using your brain power to just tackle what's at hand. And if it can't be handled now because you're waiting till Tuesday for the governor to make a to make a decision, then you have to just let it go. Like you can't sit there. You can come up with like, okay, this is our plan A, this is our plan B, this is our plan C. But like once you do that, you can't you got to just move on. And once those kind of decisions are made, and you have to just let go. But you can't sit there and waste time on decisions that you have no effect over, or that you're waiting for some other piece of information. So I think we've gotten good at that as well, of just like using the brain power on what is at hand, and like pausing on everything else until we get to the next step.
How, with respect to that too, and pandemic or no pandemic, as a leader of teams and a diverse background of teams and roles and all these things, how do you keep that morale up when things feel like there's so much ambiguity? Everything's changing every single day, whether it can change from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or what have you. Like, what are some of those tools and skills that you employ?
It was really tough during the pandemic, especially at first. I'll never forget the day when the governor said everything has to close, and he had to walk in, and we were all at Haberdish, and he had to go in and fire the whole team.
Wow.
And it was, we're letting everybody go. We don't know when you're coming back. We don't know what's happening. And how do you keep morale up in that time when suddenly you really are down to like bones of the team? And during that time, that was one of the things we've talked about. Even now, looking back, what would we do differently? We kept doing to go. It was not profitable. It didn't matter. It was so hard to look at the numbers every week and be like, look how much effort we're putting in for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing.
Yeah.
And but I think one of the things that happened during that time was everybody needed everybody to just show up.
Yeah.
We needed to give them something to do. We needed to make them feel like this was all going to be okay.
Yeah.
That there were boxes to pack up. There weren't very many. You know, we were just skating by. But we did some programs too where we did, you know, worked with frontline workers or some other nonprofit organizations, and a lot of it was there's no money going into our pockets, our business pockets. Really, it's just a matter of keeping hands busy at a time when they needed to be busy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur too, you have to like exude confidence and be confident. Like even if you're, you know, as we're opening up Crepe Cellar and we're like really waiting, you know, for the hour of our money to hit our account from the 2 days before or whatever, and you're like, okay, payroll can go through now, or you're about to max out your credit cards for the last piece of equipment you need, or whatever it is. But yeah, you have to be like, oh yeah, we have plenty of money for that. And you're like, yeah, we have $4 left. But I think I think you just you have to be confident.
It's that belief in that bigger thing,
what you're doing, and and just I think the other big thing is I think it's important to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C of these are the possible outcomes, and this is what we're going to do if those things, you know, come about, and always kind of trying to think ahead and be on top of those things. But I think kind of looking at stuff holistically and trying to make those decisions ahead of time and be ready and have a few things in your pocket. That helps you be confident. Right. If something happens and you're like, well, I know what I'm going to do in this situation.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, you know, that
you have options. Yeah. In your back pocket.
Yes.
And I'm curious too on this front, where obviously you're married and you're business partners. I'm sure you get this question a lot, but I don't know, like, how do you keep the confidence between the two of you, you know? And so like one day you're like, oh man, this stage is really, you know what, you know, and how does it not just bleed into one another? Like, what are some of those boundaries that you?
I think as we've gotten older, a lot of it's like just take the drama out of it. So take all drama out and just let it be. I think both of us really know to give each other space on different topics. Like I might ask him some questions about things like, hey, is this the right decision, or should we consider doing this? But I know on certain things, like, it's totally him. And same thing when it comes to like communication, marketing, storyline, that kind of stuff. He'll ask the questions and make sure that it's really what we want, but allowing the other person to make a decision, you know. And I think that's a lot of it, is allowing for a little bit of space and growth for the other person.
I was just going to add to that. I think one of the most important attributes of this working is that we both really love it. Like this, I think taking all that time and being introspective, of finding something that we were super passionate about, and it's not just a business that we do to make money. It's very few of the decisions we make are actually, like, I want all of the finances to work out, and we have like goals and numbers that we need to hit, but 90% of the things that we do is not because of the money. It's because we want to do it, we want to take it on, and we like are really passionate about it, and like, this is what we want to do, this is the cuisine we really want to get into, this is the design we want to try.
I think that's exactly what I would encourage to any student too, is and a student, not just a current student, but anybody in life, is just you know, finding those things that you're most passionate about, and follow that bliss, because we will make money.
We've never like counted how many hours we worked or whatever, and we love, like, we put the kids to bed and we're like, yes, like we're like, let's
finish this.
Just like working on stuff, and so I think we have a blast doing that. And she made a great point too about giving each other space, but I think we also give our employees a lot of space and give like them, we empower them a lot.
It's too much for, we can't be around at all places. Anyway. They don't want us there. You know what I mean? Like
they're better at us than you know, than us at so many things that we just kind of let them fly and you know, do their thing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that y'all are kind of bringing up a couple of things of one of finding superpowers for other people and building that team. I get a lot of students and others, frankly, in our community who come to us asking during office hours or other things, saying, how do I find my co-founder? And what are the qualities or characteristics of that person? Should I find my duplicate or should I find, somebody with complementary skills? Right. So I'd just be curious your thoughts on that.
I would say
for us, it's
complementary
totally
skills.
complementary skills.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of people, they assume I do this thing and he does this thing, but so much of it's like this bantering back and forth to try to get to the right decision,
Right. Right.
But I would think you'd want somebody with complementing skill
Yes,
sets.
and I think someone that's willing to challenge you, question you.
Right.
The yes person is not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, you don't want somebody that's just a yes person.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. Well, I want to pivot a little bit as we kind of wrap up our conversation today. Go back to Davidson a little bit. I don't think we heard about your majors or your experience there. Are there certain classes, other experiences, obviously outside of athletics that you've already talked about, that you feel like I pull on lessons from that experience in my day-to-day, or it's influenced some of the ways that y'all have developed your career?
You lead us off, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, we're both political science majors. I think my political science kind of career headed more in the political theory direction.
Okay.
And Dr. Shaw was definitely a big influence on me, and just learning to read some of the most brutal, toughest, dense material out there. And then I think him pushing everybody to be super concise. And I thought that was a really great skill. Of the difficulty writing his papers was not how many pages you had, lengthwise. It was, you only have 2 pages to answer
Make
each
it
one
great.
of his
Right,
questions.
right. Yeah.
You're like, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really great skill, and what I was just really passionate about there, and he did a great job kind of fostering that.
I would second that about Dr. Shaw. I remember taking 2 classes where there was just 6 of us in a room, and it was so intense, and you had to be prepared because there were only 6 of you.
Yeah.
You're around the table.
That's the other thing.
You better know.
Yeah.
So I really like that too. And some of the professors have gone.
Sure.
I did take some classes with Dr. Roberts as well, and I loved her. Even to this day, I still see her.
Yeah.
She's a lovely person and was a great teacher as well. I enjoyed the Davidson and Washington program. I did that one summer, and what I think I liked most about it was it just helped me go out on my own for a little. I think sometimes we think about Davidson as a bubble, and it can be, but taking advantage of opportunities like abroad programs or Davidson and Washington or other programs that they have now that they can really help expand your mind and let you see the world in a different way. I think just constantly putting your fishing line out there to see what could bring you happiness.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I feel like too the network that we have there, and I think everybody in business school talks about network and is trying to build network, but nobody has the relationships that we have, and I think it's because we have such a small school, and we have so much trust in each other.
It's very authentic. And you're not building a network at Davidson; it's just there.
Right.
It's like
It's
inherent.
the family
It's
that's
there.
around you.
And that's played a role here. There's a lot of people in Charlotte from Davidson, and that has played a role in several big decisions. Purchasing properties or finding
getting
opportunities.
our first lease was Davidson.
That's right.
Fellow Davidson person helped out. And so just a lot of those informal relationships, but I think there's a lot of trust between everybody that went to Davidson. They're going to show up. They're going to work hard. That they're trustworthy. And it's a big deal and a big help.
Yeah, and I love that y'all have been working with so many alums in the network or locally here too. So I really try to reinforce that with students to say that literally anybody who has gone to your school, if you pick up the phone or email them, don't sleep on that family.
Yes, and they will probably because I know I did, and everybody told me to do that.
Right, and you pay it forward.
But I did reach out to one Davidson alum. I remember I thought I wanted to go to law school, and I reached out to this guy who had gone to Davidson, and he was like, "I will help you find something." You know what I mean? And it's just be brave. Don't feel like you're bothering somebody. Anybody's willing to have coffee with you.
Right.
And
everyone thinks we're so busy. We have things to do, but if there's a Davidson student that wants to get into this business or do something or or whatever it is entrepreneurially, real estate, whatever. Happy to spend the time to sit down and talk with them. Happy to have lunch. Happy to grab coffee. I have to have coffee every day. So
that's great.
Usually two. There's a morning and an afternoon.
They can come with me. It's fine.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I want to wrap up with one final sort of question, comment, let you all sort of put a challenge out to the community. So just like you all are building this community around food and hospitality and bringing people into these beautiful spaces like you have here at Supperland, we too at the Hurt Hub are trying to build this community, like I'm talking about, of innovators and entrepreneurs. What's the thing that you would challenge our community to think differently about, or to really push the limits or the boundaries of their kind of curiosity?
One thing for me is I think looking at fields that you might not think of as maybe it's glamorous, or maybe it's you might think of it as just a blue collar job or something. Restaurants are a good example. There's always ways of making things better. There's always ways of making things more professional, or innovate in them, or find little nuggets of passion in it. And I think that every single thing out there can be improved. And so yes, there may not be like a whole new industry for you to develop right now, but you can innovate within an industry and make things different in that space.
Yeah, love that. Great.
Yeah, I would just further that and just say that don't be scared of any industry, because if you are really, really passionate about it, the information now is out there and you can learn about it and immerse yourself in it and become an expert in it in a pretty short period of time if you just keep hammering on. And I kind of treat a lot of this to continual learning. Super, super important. And I don't know how you were when you were at Davidson, but me writing papers and turning stuff in, so many times I had to crinkle it up and start over, and crinkle it up and start over, and just go through that whole process of writing, rewriting, do it again. And I find that, I think for us, that really gets us to the next level. It's never the first thing that we come up with, and it's always go through that process and push yourself and keep going and think, oh, how can we do this better? Can we do it better? And just rip it up and start over.
Yeah. Well, I love the combination of those 2 points of start small, start with some of the things that you know that you're so passionate about, and for anything that you've had exposure to, there are incremental improvements, and then this mindset of test, learn, iterate. What do we do? It's the small steps. I think so many people think I've got to be Mark Zuckerberg and I've got to create the metaverse or whatever, whatever the next big thing is, a sort of celebritization of Silicon Valley, where if you just start with what's inside you and what are you passionate about, and then take those incremental steps to improve, that could really turn into a fantastic business where you're employing, over 150 people and you have multiple restaurants and all these things. So thank you all so much for this conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us on Hub and Spoke today, and hope you all will join us at the J. Hurt Hub for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Find us at hurthub.davidson.edu. Listen to this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as check out our YouTube channel. So thanks so much. Thanks, Jamie and Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.